Chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and Spotify to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, and Invisired. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 377 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Douglas Grant. And if you want to understand the nutritional standard in chiropractic, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today we have Doug Grant coming in from Pima, Arizona, and I, your host, James Chester, coming in from Grand Junction, Colorado. This is episode 377. That's 377. And because of that number, I'll just tell you why we do what we do. We do protect free speech in chiropractic. We support innate intelligence. We support universal intelligence, that when man gets adjusted, it connects man to our physical to man the spiritual. We also protect the sacred trust. If you don't know what that is, go and do your favorite search engine and find out what that is. And I'm just really excited to have you on today because you're going to launch us into some ideas that most people are more curious about or they're neglecting full steam ahead. So without any further, Doug, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, well, thanks. It's great being here. I love what you're doing, love chiropractic, and we've been serving that group for quite a few decades now, not being a chiropractor, but being hopefully everything else but, so that they can actually be better and help more.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of in the green room off camera just talking about why it's so essential for what you're doing for the chiropractic space, but not only that, for all natural healing spaces and what people's blind spots might be and what they need help with and how you can do that for them. So let's talk about your uniqueness and what you do to help support the natural healers.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, it is a little bit unique, not being a chiropractor, but being so intertwined in that community. And usually when you find people like that, James, they have a story, and I do too. I fell off some scaffolding, crushed L4, L5, rushed to a big neurological institute here in Arizona, and became very apparent that there wasn't this holistic approach to health. That, there was up to, at one time, 10 different doctors that were consulting themselves and coming and talk to me, but not amongst each other. And it was real frustrating. Wanted to do exploratory surgery, I'm not into that. And so I had a chiropractor friend of mine that came and picked me up, and we borrowed a wheelchair that someday we'll probably take back. And we got out of there. That was years and years ago. And went to his office and rehabbed. It was a spinal cord concussion, so it came back. But I realized that some of the greatest health professionals out there were chiropractors, but most of them were missing the components of what I had. I was going to school for organic chemistry, nutrition, exercise physiology. And I realized that those components, not all chiropractors were making them a part of their program, which means they weren't really being holistic. They were good at adjusting the spine and being able to help with the most critical factors, but they weren't taking care of the human body, and the care like they should. And so I started creating systems for doctors, in the areas of whole food nutrients, delivering at the cell level, being able to help with nutrition, with exercise, and doing it from an objective standpoint. So I found that because of enzymes and nutrients, I could get them delivered to the cell. I could heal faster. And from that, we were able to work with a lot of people. I eventually was hired on as the first nutritionist in the MBA. And we've trained probably close to 15,000 doctors since then on our systems, our products that we make, to be able to help them, help their patients heal faster and help their clinics really get more wealth a lot faster and long-term residual.
Yeah, you said some things in there that I want to unpack a little bit. You're talking about getting people real health. How do you tell what somebody needs? How do you assess like somebody, like if you saw me, you're like, hey, you just need this stuff. Like you can't do that, can you?
Well, obviously we get to know each other's frequencies and energy, and a lot of doctors are really good at that. But there's also an objective component to that that is really important. So I learned long ago that doing blood work was a great way to find out exactly a person's needs, and it also bridges the gap. I think in chiropractic, one of the problems is the gap that is there between them and the other types of health professionals, medical doctors, and many times a lot of the others, even in the holistic world. And there's this bridge that can be created. And the one testing that is done that is everyone agrees upon is blood. So I started doing blood work and saying, hey, here's the deficiencies. Here's how you digest protein, carbs, and fats. Here's your vitamin, minerals, your risk of diseases with heart disease and diabetes, your kidneys, your liver. And then we're able to say, look, here's what the adjustment does. Here's what the nutrition does. Here's these supplements. You don't have to believe that they work. We can prove that they do, because then you get the blood work done again and you see that improvement. And so we created systems for doctors to real easily, recommend like the blood work, and that if that's the route they wanted to go without them having to really know a lot about it. And so a lot of our doctors do that. A lot of our doctors obviously just have their own ways of determining patients' needs when it comes to supplements or nutrition and things like that. But I usually do two things to answer the question, James. One is I look at a person, and you can usually tell if they're not following lifestyle habits like they should, right? You can tell if there's maybe excess body fat, if their posture is wrong. We know that nutrition and exercise is important. But then doing the blood work from the cellular level, we really get into, what's needed.
So let me ask you, like, because I don't know a whole lot about the blood testing world. I'm a journalist by trade, but when I hear somebody talking about like cleaning up somebody's health through their blood, that excites me. Number one, number two, how much time should you do between a push of the lifestyle changes with the supplementation to a post check on the blood work?
That's a great question. And there's two answers to that. The first is if a person's very sick and they have some things that we know we can change quickly, like in other words, their cholesterol is really off the charts. There's some things that vitamin D levels are, really low to like, depressant levels. People are very depressed because of vitamin D. So we can change those up and redo the blood in 2 to 3 months and get an improvement. Usually the recommendation is once every 6 months, the rest of your life, get your blood work done. You'll be able to see that improvement. You'll be able to track it over time. And then you'll also know what nutrients to take, because then you can just take only the supplements that your body needs. And that program, we call it Nutrients RX. We're actually just rolling it out to the doctors here just this month here in 2022 and end of May. So we're real excited about that.
So you said vitamin D, and that has me really curious, because a lot of the reasons that people don't feel well is because they don't know like what type of binders are in their blood, or what's like, supporting their nervous system and their immune systems. And I tell everybody chiropractic first, chiropractic second, chiropractic third, chiropractic fourth, chiropractic fifth with supplementation. And I think that as you go down the line, chiropractic add on the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, diet, exercise, meditation. And then we get into the Western model, cut it out, drug it out, burn it out. But I think that there's something else that we should kind of decode for people is, what's the difference between like off the shelf brand, say I go to like my local grocer, and the product line that you guys have? Like, why shouldn't I just go to the local corner store and pick up vitamin D as opposed to trying your brand?
Well, it really comes down to the creator. I mean, the bottom line is, do you respect nature, the laws of nature, or not? And that's really what it comes down to, because the research, as you know, shows that the more processed foods you eat, the more processed lifestyle you live, the sicker you are, the shorter your lifespan, the lower your quality of life. And the same holds true with supplements, is we obey the laws of nature. So in the case of vitamin D, you can buy it from sheep's wool, lanolin. You can buy vitamin C as ascorbic acid, which is nothing more than glucose mixed with hydrochloric acid. You can look up, that's how it's made. Or you can get your vitamin C from oranges and acerola cherry. You can get your vitamin D from a fermented type mushroom, things like that. So all of our formulas at Optimal Health Systems are whole food based, and they're delivered at the cell level. And that's really the key, because you could eat the healthiest food in the world. So number one, it has to be whole food is the answer to the question. But number two, even with whole foods, James, you have to deliver those nutrients to the cell level. In other words, the body has to break those nutrients down and deliver the phytonutrients and the chemicals, amino acids, fatty acids to the cells. So we make sure that things are delivered at the cell level because we want to enact change at the cell level. That's where life happens. And so we use enzymes and things to digest those whole food nutrients. So we're different from everyone else because we obey the laws of nature. We respect the creator. Every vitamin supplement we make is whole food based, but then we also add in the factor to pre-digest it so that it can get delivered to the cell level. And that's really the game changer. And the cool thing is you don't have to believe us. Do the blood work, do the test. What works best for your patient, do, right? If ours does, great. If someone else does, great. It's all about the patient. And we just have a lot of experience of decades and, like you said, tens of thousands showing with the professional teams, the athletes, the professional doctors, that that's the best way to go.
Well, you just walked me into the perfect setup. So we took worst case scenario people when we started out this interview a few minutes ago. Now let's talk best case scenario, where you have somebody that's a top level performer, and they want to optimize their performance, and they want to optimize their body, and they want to get the most out of their performance. What can you do for those people?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll let you on a little secret. Okay, you ready? What professional athletics are all about, the owners of the teams and everything else, is about being able to create more high performance moments, because they're already bringing in the best athletes in the world, right? Well, what's the difference with each team? If you already have the top performing, athletes on the planet, it's can you get them to perform consistently? So my job at the NBA was to create more high performance moments. Can we get those 60, 70 point games consistently from these guys? And when we do get them, what are the common denominators? And we were able to do blood work, year after year after year with thousands of athletes, and come to find out that if we can balance the body with the right nutrients, electrolyte nutrients, the D, the magnesium, the nutrients to help with blood sugar levels, insulin sensitivity, that you can take a great professional athlete and make them legendary, because they can be great consistently. And that's the difference between being great and legendary, is consistency. And so we can do the same thing with you and I, those of us that work to try to stay in shape and be healthy, but we're not professional athletes in that. But if we can be consistent, find out what our body needs, move, eat better, and consistently do that over time, then we can become legendary. These doctors can become legendary in their clinics, that they can live the lifestyle, and then they just start attracting, that frequency comes through, that vibration, and then they don't have to even go out and market for patients. They just come.
Yeah, you're such an easy interview. Thank you for being so understanding of the cellular level, and that has a profound impact on performance. And I always tell people, garbage in, garbage out. If you eat garbage, and you're going to get garbage performance. And
Absolutely.
You got to do a couple of things. You got to eat right, you got to think right, you got to move right, and you got to get adjusted. But in the eating right, people think they're actually buying good quality food for themselves sometimes, I think, and they're still not getting high level performance. So anybody out there that's curious, try out what Doug and his team are doing at Optimal Health Systems. Try to do some pre and post blood work. See what it looks like to clean up your body from the inside out. It's kind of like a holistic oil change for your body, but it's for your blood. So let's turn that into the chiropractic conversation.
Okay.
How can people use your systems to market, and how can they draw in higher ticket clients to be able to help with their health, not just through the chiropractic method, but through the holistic health method?
Well, I appreciate that question, because really that's what it comes down to, is what's in it for me? What can chiropractors do from this message today from you and I on being able to improve their personal health, their patient's health, and their clinic's wealth? And the simple answer is, doctors, you need to be more holistic. You need to look at these other areas that your patient needs help in, but don't spend much time in those areas. In other words, you focus on the spine, you focus on removing subluxations, but you do need to incorporate better eating habits with the patient, exercise, and specific supplementation. And that's where Optimal Health Systems comes in. Is what we do is we do a quick 10-minute evaluation of your clinic on the phone and say, where can we best help you? Where can we serve you? and you say, look, I don't do much supplements because I want it to be more, I want my supplementation to be more objective. I don't believe in subjective stuff. So we're like, great, let's incorporate the blood work. We'll show you how. Or you just want to upgrade that. Maybe it's you need systems to be able to help with nutrition and exercise. And then we lay that out for you, and we help take you up a stairway with our reps. We kind of guide you up. It's not like practice management. It's more like health management. And we help guide you up these steps to get your clinic in order to be more holistic, be able to set your patients up to heal faster, and then also your clinic so you get a great residual income long term. We do everything farm to table here, James, in Pima, Arizona. We do all the formulations. We bring in the raws. We do the manufacturing. We do the marketing. We do the sales. We do the shipping. And we're family owned. We're probably one of the last 3 or 4 companies in the world left that's not owned by pharmaceutical companies. And so what we can do for the doctor is just evaluate, say, we got all this. We're here to serve you. We know which clinics are the most successful and what they did to get there. Let us take that knowledge and say maybe what's missing in yours and help you implement it.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, and Invisired. Let's hustle. Yeah, I think that's extremely important because as we've seen the past couple of years, as we're failing all around us with obesity, we're failing all around us with comorbidities, and it's not something I think most people are proud of. I think most people are looking for a solution, and I've seen a lot of the chiropractors that we've interviewed over the past 2 years specifically. They're turning a corner more to be more functional med because they see that there are some spots where their patient base was failing, and they're doing really good, coaching them up on having a healthy spine, a healthy organ system, healthy nervous system, healthy immune system. And a part of that, I think, is getting people the right amount of supplementation. So I just want to applaud you for what you guys are doing to support the chiropractic profession. As we think about you, I met you and I think it was Las Vegas at Parker, and I was like, man, this guy's super, super fit. I'm curious, what are you doing to take care of yourself?
I keep up with my family. Honestly, my wife is the reigning 2-time Miss Olympia figure champion in natural bodybuilding. My sons compete in powerlifting and bodybuilding, and my 18-year-old daughter is just competing this year. And so honestly, I just try to keep up with them, and they do all the hard work. I just run around and keep up with them. But honestly, it's a good question too, because I'm really big with the doctors. We're getting ready to do a big seminar in June here in Phoenix, and we should have 200 or 300 doctors there. David Meltzer is going to be there. UFC legend Forrest Griffin's going to be there, and we're going to spend 3 days teaching doctors how to implement these things in their clinic. But one of the things that I'm going to be sharing with them there is, look, if you go and you want to buy something from someone and they, are trying to sell you this and that, and one of the questions is, hey, will I look like you? Will I feel like you if I buy and use this thing? And you think about that and you thought, oh, that's a good thing to do. But what if patients come to you? What if they come to you and say, hey, if I get these adjustments and I do these things, will I look like you? Will I feel like you? Will I, have these benefits? And you better be able to look in the mirror and you better be able to say, man, I'm living that lifestyle, so that I can say, absolutely. And we see some doctors that do that and some that don't. And so at our seminar, we're going to be giving doctors the tools with the busy lifestyle to work on their own health and their own fitness, and also to implement those things in their clinic for their patients without taking time away from the most important thing, and that's the adjustments. But we give them the tools to be able to do it on their own. And one of them is their personal fitness and health, James. You know that. And we just got to make sure that they understand that spending those few minutes a day on their own health is critical to be able to get that frequency set right with the patient.
Well, you've already converted me over to Team Optimal Health Systems because I want to look like you, and I want to be as fit and as strong as I get older, and I want to fuel myself with real energy because I think a lot of times people are going for an extra cup of coffee, they're going for an energy drink. I think that those are the you know, one and two hit that people usually go for. They're using some kind of pharmacological boost. But I think that most of the time they're burning out their adrenals with too much activity from caffeine and things that they think are going to give them energy. But over time, it's like you coming from the chemistry background. You know that titration is a thing. And then
Yeah.
if you give somebody so much for so long, it's either going to burn out their adrenals or it's going to put them on overdrive to where they're not functioning anymore. So I think it's important for people to also understand that natural energy is the way to go.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things, like the doctors will come and say, look, patients are all on these, different energy drinks that are out there, whether the old school Red Bull or the new Bangs or whatever it might be. And what are you doing, doctors, to give people an alternative? Are you giving them, in our case, we have a formula called Natural Vitality that we give them that it doesn't have caffeine in it, but it has high amounts of energy because of the way it works with the B vitamins and the herbs, and say, look, take this instead so we don't blow your adrenals out. And by the way, here's something to help with the adrenals. And it's an easy test to see how your adrenals are functioning. Simple blood pressure test, laying down, standing up, Ragland's test. And you're able to objectively prove these things. But if the doctors don't have the answers and give them alternatives, then you're basically, in my opinion, you're basically saying it's okay to do these energy drinks and that, because you're not giving them a way out. You're just saying stop it. And it's the same thing with NSAIDs. It's like, if you're, as a chiropractor, are not giving an alternative to ibuprofens and Tylenols to the patients to be able to reduce inflammation and reduce pain, then you're part of the problem, because they're coming to you for holistic health. And so that's what we do, is provide these natural holistic answers so the doctors can say, look, instead of doing the drugs, instead of doing the energy drinks, do this instead, see if it works. If it doesn't, quit doing it. But that's what we pride ourselves in, making sure that we can give the doctor the tools and the products that work to get the patients off this crap that's really hurting them, that's causing a lot of subluxations, that's keeping the body from being able to stay strong. And I get riled up a little bit, sorry, but it's one of those things that's so important for doctors to understand, is they're coming to you as a health professional, and if you're not giving answers to these problems that are out there, then truly you're actually being a part of the problem, and you've got to be able to have those answers, and that's what we bring to the table.
Well, I am in marketing also, so I understand that you have to earn somebody's business for the first 100 days, and you have to check in with them and pay attention to them, and you have to be on their team and not just transactional. You have to be relational. You have to really nurture people in this day and age and to earn their business. So I think what you guys are doing is really important. And I am also curious, you being a non-chiropractor, where you see this profession going over the next 20 years, because it's kind of a loaded question. People say that all the time, but I don't think it is. I think that people have a very clear understanding of what they say. So where do you see chiropractic going, and how do you see your product binding in with that?
That's a great question, because it's important to look to the future and see what direction we're going right now as a chiropractic profession. And, I have a unique ability because we're in clinics all over the world, and on one end of the nation to the other, and we see which ones work, which ones don't. We see some that thrive and others, that have multiple clinics, and others that go under. And where I see the chiropractic profession in 20 years really depends on the health professional. Will the chiropractic profession themselves, the doctors themselves, step up and be more holistic? Will they work on the mind, the nutrition, the exercise, and supplementation along with the spine, putting the spine first, but having those be a part of it, and, be objective in their recommendations. And if they will do that, I think that 20 years from now, that the chiropractic profession can be the premier health professionals in the world. But it really comes down to the mindset of the chiropractors right now, and being open to be holistic to the patient's needs. I mean, we spent a lot of time today talking about processed foods, about energy drinks, about all these problems, antibiotics, NSAIDs. So doctors, what are you doing about them? And if you can get those answers, then I think that this is the group that can be known as the true health professionals in the market. But if they don't, if they stick to just focusing on one area of health, they're going to get put into that category is, oh, yeah, your back hurts. Okay, they'll probably be good for you. Go see them for a minute, then come back type thing. So I think the ball's in your court, chiropractors, and we're here to help you. But you got to be holistic. You got to live it. You need to be walking, talking model of the profession and vibrate that frequency from the inside out.
So what you're saying is we shouldn't use chiropractic as an expensive Advil.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. We get mad at these doctors for just doing drugs or prescribing drugs and doing this, and yet how many times are we just doing one thing? But yet we know it needs a holistic approach, and so 100% with you on that.
And a lot of times people don't understand, but a body functions off of very small things. It's a cellular thing, but that becomes a thyroid, that becomes an adrenal, that becomes a pancreas, that becomes a blood vessel, that becomes a heart, that becomes a brain. And the components to building a healthy body are a daily habit. And I think that sometimes people are like, oh, I did it for 90 days. Hoorah. And what they don't realize is that's just the start. They get a chance to now have another 90 days. And then they get a chance to have another 90 days, which hopefully makes up a powerful year for them. And then they can carry that momentum on to a lifetime. And they can take these building blocks that they're taught and that they invest into to say, hey, I'm not just going to forget the house I just built. I'm going to carry that along with me. And that's the code for a healthier future. And I think chiropractic implementing strategic plan like that, we're going to make healthier people, because the chiropractor wants to have a healthy spine, which makes a healthy nervous system, which makes a healthy immune system, which creates healthy organs. Well, if you're adjusting the spine and you have a deficient body that doesn't have anything natural inside of it, and everything is adulterated and fake and created in some lab that's not good for us, it's eventually gonna gunk us up. And a lot of times I tell people it's like putting sugar into your engine or sand into your engine. Like, you don't want to run your engine on sand or sugar. You want to run it on gas or oil. And people are many times putting the wrong stuff into their body that they think it's going to run optimally off of. But I know that you guys have a solution for that. So let's talk about how you got to where you are today and some of the people that have inspired you to be who you are. Like, who are some of your heroes? Who have you looked up to over your lifetime to help you to be as strong as you are as a leader in the natural health space?
Well, that's great question. Luckily I've had a great family, great parents, and raised in strength that way. But in the profession, I really enjoyed looking at a lot of the originals, BJ Palmer and a lot of them, and being ahead of their game and the work that they did. And today, I really enjoy working with a lot of these top holistic clinics around the nation. I also really enjoy some of the people out in the world that a lot of people to understand, appreciate chiropractic. As far as heroes, I'm in an interesting position because I have a program that I work with people one-on-one, and I'm their health coach. So people like David Meltzer and Russell Brunson and a lot of these people, they hire me to take care of them for the year and do the nutrition, the blood work, and those things that we teach the doctors how to do. But so I'm around a lot of them, but there is one that I thought is really neat that maybe some of the doctors don't understand. But who's making the moves right now is Elon Musk, right? But a lot of people don't understand that he actually comes from a chiropractic background, and that he loves chiropractic, and it's one of those things that that's not talked about a lot. But that guy has all his spark plugs firing in the right place. Whether you agree with him or not, he's a shaker and a mover, right? And he's making things happen. And so that's probably one that is inspiring me today, that maybe is a little bit off the beaten path, that maybe you don't hear on this podcast too often, but still is a proponent, a fan, a champion of chiropractic and holistic health.
Yeah, I think that it's really important. Elon, maybe we can get him to give us a soundbite or two about why it's important to not go the non-pharmacological route and to try chiropractic first, and to think about exercise, and to think about, making sure that we're doing breath work and meditation and things like that, because there is a big selection from the world to be healthy for people that isn't being talked about. I mean, absolutely. If we just threw the average person into the weight room 3 days a week, and had them drink a gallon of water on only those 3 days, we would start to see a huge improvement with the obesity stuff that's going on, and people would have better self-esteem. So Elon, if you're out there and you watch this episode of Chiro Hustle, episode 377, jump on a show with me and talk to me about the lineage of chiropractic in your family. I think it'd be a really stellar conversation. And as you've been treating people and helping people, I'm really curious, do you have any miracle stories that you have seen happen by including your systems into chiropractic offices?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I have two that come to mind just right when you mentioned that. And one of them was in a clinic that was what was a straight chiropractic clinic for a lot of years, and then had some things happen to where they realized that some supplements helped clean the liver. They had a relative, the AST, ALT levels were really, really high, and they were getting ready to go into failure, and chiropractic along with the nutrition and the milk thistle and the right supplements and stuff, their body healed itself because it was provided with the right nutrients, and your cells need nutrients. And so there was this switch that happened. And from that day forward, that clinic started really promoting holistic health, focusing on the spine, but incorporating the whole food supplements, the nutrition and the exercise. And it's just started creating miracle after miracle of patients of, man, these people were stuck and they kept seeing me for years and years. And really, well, it was they were deficient in vitamin D. Plus, what I was doing was helping, but they were just deficient in a few nutrients. It was, allow them to go to the next level. And it was one of those just aha moments that once the spine, everything was cleared and we had good nerve function, the body still needed the nutrients. And once they supplied those, then miracles started happening. So we see that all the time. But one that happened this week, James, was that I had my first grandson, and he's like 10 months old, and he got sick last week. I was out of town, and he had a double ear infection. And so they went in and they said, oh, it's because he's getting these early molars and stuff. And, here's antibiotics, here's these drugs and stuff. And they went without. And then they're like, man, we're not sure what to do, first baby. And they finally took him up to our chiropractor here, had an adjustment on the third day. And that night, ears just drained, and it's been perfect ever since. And so it's kind of one of those cool things that, you're probably expecting something from one of these clinics and that to promote our products. But I really want to kind of finish up more with just chiropractic and the benefit of it. You just need to make sure you're holistic in that approach. And when you are holistic in that approach and make sure the body has the right nutrients on top of the nerve function and being subluxation free, then the miracles happen at an even higher level.
Well, chiropractic to me is not the pain game, it's the brain game. Mm-hmm. And when we get the body adjusted and remove the subluxation, it allows the brain to function at its highest capacity, and it optimizes performance. So I think that what you're saying is so true. And, babies and animals, they're the greatest, test in the market. They don't talk. And, you can't get a subjective type analysis from them. It's all objective, and you got to look at the body and that it's healing, because if a baby stops crying, that means they feel better. And I think that that's an important thing. And chiropractic adjustments are for everybody from cradle to grave. And I think that everybody has to understand that having a higher optimal nervous system functioning and a better healthy body is going to be an asset rather than a liability for them and their families. So Doug, appreciate you being on with our show, man. You're episode 377. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you would like to leave our audience with today?
You know what? I think you handled it well. You're a great podcast. I appreciate the work you're doing. I wanted to maybe just give something to the doctors that are watching this, that watch this show all the way through, and kind of give them that offer, and just basically say, look, if you watched Chiro Hustle, if you spent the time and you're really on top of your business, spending time to try to better yourself and learn more, and that we really appreciate that attitude and that approach to health and that commitment. And so any doctor that wants to call the office from this podcast, say, hey, we saw Doug on Chiro Hustle, or James, to say that you mentioned the name of your podcast. then we'd love to give them just some free product to try for themselves, a free custom pack that comes, a bottle of the top enzyme formula on the planet that's been #1 forever. And we give them a free ticket to our next seminar. Our next one's in June. It's a $400 ticket. We'll be glad to give them. Just mention they were on this. And all we ask is to get on the phone and see if there's something we can do to serve them, to help them. No strings attached. Just make sure you mention Chiro Hustle. We'll give you over $500 worth of product, a free ticket to our upcoming seminar with David Meltzer and UFC Hall of Famers. That I'd love to have you there. Just maybe it's just a thank you for being on, and for those of you that are continuing to try to progress, that you're listening to these podcasts, you're trying to get more nuggets, you're trying to help your patients. And those are our favorite types of doctors, the ones that are out there still grinding even after they leave the clinic.
So what's the phone number people are supposed to reach you at?
1-800-890-4547. So 1-800-890-4547. Just mention Chiro Hustle and we'll send you all that for free. Just thank you so much, because that's what it's about. The best of the best keep learning. And I'm sure glad you're doing this out there, James, for the doctors and keeping the education up.
Well, thank you for being a feature on our podcast. And if you guys are curious, it's 1-800-890-4547, and let them know you heard about Dr. or Doug on Chiro Hustle. Doug, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you spending some time with me today and educating our team and all of our listeners on what you do and why you do it and who it's for. With that being said, this is episode 377. You guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.